the result may be. We don't know. Okay, we don't know. And let's see. So this article, I think, is just from recent. Okay, it said that's the verdict from the Joint Committee on Taxation, and this is from Congress. Okay, JCT, which provide official Congress analysis of tax legislation. This jump to. In a report prepared by GCP, Republican, see, Republican? You smell the flavor already, right? Republican, right? Because Republican maybe is very easy to understand they may against any kind of taxation policy against or focus on rich people. The JCT said requiring those who make more than $1 million to pay 30% of their income, which generate in the next generation is a total in 10 years, not generation, next decade, 47 billion. So if you divide it by 10, every year under this policy, it may raise like less than $5 billion. And the president, the so-called buffet rule is a dog. So you see, the Republican try to criticize, right? It's dog, it's underdog. You know, it will not work. It doesn't work. You know. And does Buffett really pay just 17%? Some people say Warren Buffett is number 2 or number 3 rich guy, right? In the United States, and he only pay 70% tax bracket. We don't know whether or not that's true or not, but he's always joking. He pay less tax than his secretary does, and no wonder, because he donate a lot to the private foundation or charitable, a lot of tax bracket. So the GST analyzed paying a fair share act. So eventually this is always debatable. What's the fair? Can we talk about what's fair? What do you mean by fair? Under the tax policy, what do you mean really the fair? Fair mean everybody pay
Same rate.
No, I don't believe the same rate is really fair. What's really fairness? So let's, for example, there are 3 people. Mr. A, annual income is, say, $10,000. Let's talk about AGI. And Mr. B or Miss B is 100,000. And Mr. C is $1 million. So 10,000, 100,000, 1 million. And think about that. If the whole society need to raise, I don't know, $100,000 per year. So what's the fairness? How do you think, what's the fairness? What's the definition of fairness for taxation? I think fairness is not same rate. If same rate, everybody pay 10%, this society can never reach the goal, right? So if we talk about contribution, how would you think, what's fair? Of course, if we based on the current situation, we know Miss A paid, I don't know, probably like 10% or 15% tax bracket, and Mr. B, I assume pay 25%, just for example, and Miss C probably pay 35%. So you have a higher income, you pay higher tax rate, and then of course you contribute more. But what's really the fairness? How can we determine the fairness?
Would they take into consideration like cost of living and all the variables that kind of go into
All right. Say for example, let's say assume the cost of living averagely is how about $50,000? We have a ABC3 scenario. One person only earned 10,000, the second one earned 100,000, the third one earned 1 million. Assuming the living cost you just make the minimum limit is 50,000, for example. How can you justify the fairness? Does it mean you need to take away portion from Mr. C and to subsidize Ms. A, or
I guess.
how does it work?
Well, I'm not really sure, like, but wouldn't they look at also standard debt levels that people keep, and then they would look at that ratio and say, well, you should have about this much left over, and then they would kind of like adjust the rate of what you should pay in taxes to have left over to kind of live, given debt levels that people normally keep and hold.
Let me ask you your idea, okay, for taxation policy. Do you think the goal for the revenue, okay, internal revenue, the ultimate goal is for the internal revenue is just to provide the money or financial resource for the government? Okay, that's level one. So if the goal for the internal revenue is only to provide sufficient fund for federal government, or the goal is more than that, not only provide the funds for the government, but also you need to provide the fund to the poor people. Which level you want to go to?
Second.
Okay, you have one voice second. How about you say no? For this society, we are not socialism. we are not communism. We are not socialism. This is a capitalism. So our goal is only to reach the level one. Whatever the money the government needs, that's all. And there's no obligation for the rich people to provide their fund, their resource to the other poor people. So what is your argument? This is more like a political idea. So what is your idea? So we have two levels. Level one, internal revenue only to provide sufficient fund to government, that's all. Or you want to expand the goal, the scope. Say no, that's not enough. We need to provide not only to government, also we need to provide some protected class. And those people, they cannot even make a living by themselves. So we need to take away the portion resource from the rich people and to cover those people under the certain minimum living expenses line. What is the idea?
I support the second level.
Second level. But obviously, probably that's not the current situation, right? We don't see too many policy the government subsidize. But go ahead. Yeah. What is your idea or what's your philosophy? Why?
Unfortunately, there are too many lazy people take advantage of government policy.
So you level one or level two, because I
Yeah,
didn't hear.
yeah.
You say probably level one. I think you are level one. I think if you explain the I think you are level one. You mean that the internal revenue only need to provide the funds to the government, and there's no need to provide the funds to the people. They are living under the minimum standard. I think this is your idea, right? You think people is too lazy,
Yeah.
and there's no any obligation for rich people to really
I
to
think
take.
the extra money for rich people means nothing for them. Because
Okay.
you make 1 million.
Really mean nothing?
No.
I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
When you make when you make a living